Yeah, welcome to the final session of our Stewardship Master Class. Today we are talking about modeling the culture of stewardship. Our topic is what? Modeling the culture of stewardship. And I will start our study with some few definitions. We'll start our study with some few definitions. So the first definition is, what is a culture? What is a culture? Culture comes from the Latin word cultura, stemming from colere, meaning to cultivate. Now, culture is the characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, food, social habits, music, and art. Another dictionary says that culture can be defined as all the ways of life, including arts, beliefs, and institutions of population that are passed down from generation to generation. Now, the third definition for what a culture is says that culture has been called the way of life for an entire society. As such, it includes codes of manners, dress, language, religion, rituals, art, norms of behavior such as law and morality, and systems of belief. So we'll deal with our second definition. What is cultural norm? What is cultural norm? A cultural norm codifies, arranges, and organizes acceptable behavior and conduct in society. It serves as a guideline for behavior, dress, language, and demeanor in a situation, which serves as a template for expectation in a social group. We'll deal with our third definition, then now we can zoom into how to model the culture of stewardship in your organization, in your church, in your business, in your society, or wherever you want to what you want the life of stewardship to be seen. So our third definition is, what is organizational culture? And this is where our focus will be on, because when you model the culture of stewardship, it helps a lot. So it says that organizational culture is the collection of values, expectations, and practices that guide and inform the actions of all members in an organization. So let me take the definition again. Organizational culture is the collection of values, expectations, and practices that guide and inform the actions of all members in an organization. So you can think of this as a collection of traits that make your company or your organization what it is. A great culture exemplifies positive traits that leads to what improved performance, while a dysfunctional culture brings out qualities that can hinder even the most successful organizations. So when we are talking about modeling of culture, we know that, like as our definition of culture says, that it is what? The ways of life, okay? In beliefs, in religion, in food, and all that. So in your organization, when you have the culture of stewardship, it affects the way of life of people in the organization. It could be church, it could be business, it could be your family, or wherever, whichever organization that you belong to, or you are the manager of the organization. So culture is the way of life. So let's move on to the next thing: how to create and model the culture of stewardship in your organization. How to what create and model the culture of stewardship in it. Now, the first one, number one, start by reviewing the vision and culture of your organization. So, is stewardship mentioned in your organization? You may need to start, adding, the value of stewardship to the core language of your organization. So you must first review the vision and culture of what your organization. Okay, so you must emphasize on the importance of what the the importance of what stewardship, why people must be faithful stewards, why people must what utilize the resources entrusted into their hands well, why people must what obey organizational rules and regulations, why people must what do what is right in the organization. So the first one is start by what reviewing the vision and culture of your organization, and the second one is what after you have reviewed and established the culture of your organization, actively and consciously teach or preach on stewardship. Actively and consciously teach or preach on stewardship. Don't assume that people what know about stewardship. Yeah, they may know, but you must what consciously and actively teach them what the importance of stewardship, why they must be good stewards, and why they must what do what is right, why they must what manage the resources, the things entrusted into their hands. Intentionally teaching on stewardship will bring new levels of health to your organization. It will bring new levels of what health to what your organization. Now, in the church setting, being a pastor in the church settings, we are fortunate. Our Bible is filled with so many teachings and principles of stewardship. So we must teach the people the principles of God concerning stewardship. We must teach our people the principles of God what concerning stewardship. And when we do this, we will model, that culture, that thing in the people. Okay, when naturally they become good stewards and they will utilize and manage the things you entrust into their hands what well. Now we have one man called Robert Morris who once said that preaching is impacting the burden and teaching helps the people to accomplish the burden. So when you preach, okay, to the people, you impact the burden, the need, you know for them, the need, why they need to become what stewards, why they need to become good stewards and faithful stewards and all that. But when you teach them, you now show the people the way, the how, the when, the how, how they can be what able to accomplish that burden or that thing you have spoken to them about. So let's say you've spoken about being a good steward or being steward, so you must now go further to teach the people how they become good stewards. So you take it what one after the other, principle after principle, where you guide the people through the ways and means they can be what good stewards. And when you do this, the organization becomes very strong and things move on very, very well in the organization, because the way of life of the people will now become what being good stewards, because we know culture is the way of life, where people will live their life according to their principles, according to their beliefs, and according to whatever they have been taught or they have been impacted, and whatever they have been trained to do. Okay, now the third way is, as a leader or as a steward leader, be an example in stewardship. Be an example in stewardship. So in First Peter chapter 5 verse 3, the apostle Peter exalts pastors who are stewards to be examples to the flock. So examples to the people in the organization, example to your what, your followers, example to your what, your subordinates and all that. So you must be what, an example in stewardship. It must not be you tell people listen to what I say but don't watch what I do. No, your what, your behavior should align with your words. Your behavior should align with your words. So your behavior in both your personal and professional life should be consistent with what you teach and preach to the people and what you tell the people, because people are watching. People are watching you. You know, your subordinates, your followers, your workers, you know, your members, your children, you know, your family members, they are all watching. So it's not about what you say, it is about what you do. So your align, your behavior, your actions, and everything must align with the words that you speak, and they must be consistent with what you teach and what you preach and what you say. Okay, in First Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, the apostle Paul also encouraged Timothy to set an example for the church he's leading, for believers, in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity. So Paul told Timothy that you are the leader of the church, you are the leader of the believers, you are the leader of the Christians, you are the leader of the organization, you are the leader of the people. But set an example in every area of your life, in speech, the things you say, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity. So as stewards and as leaders, when we want to model the culture of stewardship in our organization, we must set example with every aspect of our life, our speech, you know, our life, whatever we are doing. People must see that we ourselves are good stewards and we are faithful to whatever we say, and we are true, and our words and our actions and behavior are consistent and they are in perfect alignment. Now, in Titus chapter 2, verse 7, Paul also encouraged Titus to set example in everything by doing what is good. By doing what is good. So I'm emphasizing on this because leadership is always by example. If you don't lead by example, you don't do things by example, your followers will never do what is right or whatever you are expecting them to do. They will never. Because you, the leader, you are not doing what is right. So, how do you expect your followers to also do what is right? So, you as a leader, you must set example in every area of your life. As leaders, we are called to set example to others, especially to those entrusted in our care. This includes modeling the life of stewardship as the chief steward of the organization or church. So, as the chief steward, as the overall boss, as the overall leader, the senior pastor, the manager, the managers, the CEO, and all that, we must set example in steward, especially to those who are entrusted in our care. Trusted in our care. When we do this, they will watch us and they will learn from us. It's just like children. We know children learn by observation. So if you're a parent and you want to know your life, your attitude, you know, and all that, just watch your children, how they act. If you speak to people rudely, your children learn how to speak to people rudely. Whatever you do as a parent, your children learn by observation. So, as a leader, as a steward, you must lead by example, you know, in your neighborhood, you know, between your friends, in your relationships, you know, whatever, you must lead by example so that the people that are following you, so that the people you are leading will what? Learn from you. When you do that, you see that the life of every member in the church, in the organization, will be in alignment to stewardship, and you realize that things will be moving on smoothly and nicely. Things will be moving on smoothly and nicely. Now, the fourth thing is you model stewardship by making the best use of your talents, abilities, and gifts. So, whatever talent, whatever ability, and gifts that have been entrusted into your care by God, use it well. Use them well. So when you become a good steward, let's say you're a pastor, you have been given a gift of pastoring, a gift of healing, or a gift of prayer. When you use them well, okay, the members also have other gifts, the gift of serving, the gift of what? Giving, the gift of interpretation of tongue, or any other gift and ability will also become faithful, and they will use it diligently to serve the church, to serve humanity, and to glorify God. So we must what? Model stewardship by what? The best use of our talent, abilities, and our gifts. Now the next thing is what? We must be an example of good stewardship in the management of time. When you move to an organization where the people don't respect time, it means that the leader himself doesn't respect time. When you move to a church, where the people don't respect time, it means that the leader doesn't respect time. So we as leaders, as pastors, as managers, as CEOs, we must model good stewardship in the management of time. We know that time is a limited resource. Each human is allocated or allotted 86,400 seconds each day. And this time must be used well. We must use this time well because time has been entrusted into our care. So in a day, God gives us 24 hours to use. And when we utilize our time well, we'll be able to achieve more. The difference between the rich and the poor is not because of anything, is the what? The use of time. The rich use their time wisely, or people who are successful use their time wisely, and people who are not successful don't use their time wisely. So what you use your time for will determine if you'll be successful or not. So, as leaders, as stewards, we must model good stewardship in the management of time. And when we do this, that culture of time management will be built in our people. That is where you realize that everybody will be on time. People will come to work very early and they'll leave, at the time they are supposed to leave. And when they come to work, they'll work well. They'll not just come to work and just play around because they know time is very, very precious. Time is very, very, very precious. Then the next thing is you model stewardship when you faithfully use the material resources that God entrusts into your hand. This includes all of the physical belongings and financial goods at your disposal. So, the little resources that God has entrusted into your hands, when you faithfully use them, you are modeling what? Good stewardship in your organization. So people will just be what? Learning from you that, okay, our pastor, with these little resources that our pastor has, look at how well he's using it. So we too will what? Use the resources that has been given to us what? Faithfully. When the church gives you, money, it doesn't matter how small it is. But when you faithfully and diligently use that money and you account well for it, you are modeling good stewardship, and your people will learn from you. and your people will learn from you. So as leaders, the responsibility is on us to what? To model good stewardship, be examples, so that the people who are following us will what? Learn from us, and they'll do things the way we expect them to do. And in the organization, things should be what? Moving well and smoothly. And the culture there become a culture of stewardship, where people are managing resources well, utilizing their gifts and talents well, doing things well, are faithful, are not wasteful. They are what? They make wise decisions and do things well, because in that organization, the culture of stewardship is strong. The culture of stewardship is strong. Now, someone may be thinking that organizational goals or a mission statement, is what represents a culture. No, mission statements and organizational goals, can help you define your organizational culture, but they are not the main thing. They are there as what? A guide. But the way things are managed in the organization, that's how the culture is what? Built. Because culture is created through consistent and authentic and genuine behaviors. Okay, culture is created through what? Consistent, authentic, and genuine behavior. So the organizational goals could be there, the mission statements are there, but they themselves do not contribute to what? Creating that culture of stewardship. But they serve as a guide, and they serve what? They serve as what? The blueprint. Okay, they serve as a guide and a blueprint. But the culture of steward can only be created, as I said earlier on, that was through the consistent and authentic, genuine behavior, especially from the leaders. Okay, from what? The leaders. So we can model the culture of stewardship. When we review the organizational uh, culture, okay, where we teach and preach to the people, we teach them, preach to them, we direct them on what to do. When we ourselves becomes good example, okay, becomes what? Good example in our what? Stewardship. Okay, when we ourselves becomes what? Good example in our stewardship. Now you can quickly know or determine an organizational culture when you see how the leaders respond to crises and situations. So when you go to an organization, you can only know, okay, you can only determine the what? Culture in that organization, depending on how the leader responds to what? Crisis situations and other things. Okay, so other things. Now, in ending this session, I want to say, especially to the church, that modeling the culture of stewardship in the church is very, very important. It's very, very important. And I even say it is mandatory, because when we model the culture of stewardship in the life of the members, in the life of the people, one, it strengthens the leadership. Okay, then it helps the church to grow spiritually and also physically. So there are numerical growth, and spiritually also it grows the church. Then when we model the culture of stewardship in the church, it increases the finances of the church. It increases the finances of what? Of the church. So if we want the people in our organizations, okay, to live their life and become good stewards, then we must be what? Ready to set examples, teach the people, train the people, review and make sure that the language of stewardship is always mentioned in our organization. When we do this, the lifestyle of the people will change, and there will be growth. There will be increase in finances and all that, and realize that things will go on well in the organization. So thank you for being part of this year's stewardship masterclass, and we say may God bless you. If you have not watched our previous videos or this week's videos, you can go to our channel and watch, and you'll be blessed. And one thing I'll say, let us be doers of the word. We should not just listen to the videos and watch them, but we must practice them. And by so doing, our life will be transformed, our organizations will be transformed, and we'll become good stewards and faithful stewards. And the rewards that we'll receive will be massive. Will be massive. So thank you for watching, and see you, God willing, next year for the third edition of our stewardship master class. Thank you, and God bless you.